This is Business Inspires, a monthly podcast of the TriVillage Chamber Partnership. To run a successful business, you need resources, valuable connections, and community recognition. Business Inspires will provide you with the tools, resources, and examples to inspire you to create the business you're envisioning. Here's Michelle Wilson, Executive Director of the TriVillage Chamber Partnership.
Today, we are talking to Brad Ridge, the Managing Principal of Holbrook and Manter, here on our Business Inspires podcast. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here.
So we want to connect our listeners to all of our member businesses and give them some fun stories, some creative stories, and just learn a little bit more about you. So we'll start out with you telling us about Holbrook and Manter.
Well, we have a long legacy, a rich heritage. We began in Marion, Ohio, actually, in 1919. So in a couple of years, we'll have our 100th anniversary.
Yeah.
Been a long, a slow transition of ownership through those years. We've had some partners that have been with the firm at times 40 and 50 years. So we've got a great heritage. Our specialty has been through the years been serving families and their businesses, and that's been our lifeblood. That's our sweet spot. We obviously work with lots of companies, various sizes and shapes, and we enjoy, obviously, what we do. We have multiple offices now. We've grown to Marysville and the Grandview yard here and Lewis Center, and we have a satellite office in Dublin. So we've been a growing firm.
My goodness, you were one of the first tenants to sign in the new Grandview yard, were you not?
We were. It was a great time for us, probably not for the economy, but in 2010.
It was a tough time, yeah.
2010 is when we negotiated our lease here at the yard. And you just had the one building there at that time. And we were one of probably the original tenants, or at least a part of a handful. So, and now it's its own lifeblood entity, isn't it? That whole Grandview yard area. It has
taken off gangbusters. It's great to drive through there and see how it continues to change every day. So glad to have you in our neighborhood as well. But how many employees do you have at Holbrook and Manter in total?
Well, this winter we actually touched 45 employees. Some of those are flex and part-time folks, but so there's a pretty significant group of team members.
Sure. And it's not just a January through April business, right?
No, it's intense,
sure.
Obviously, and especially February, March, and April. But no, we're serving businesses throughout the year, doing a lot of outsourcing. Folks turn to us to help them be their backroom accounting solution.
Okay, good.
And so we're doing a lot of that through our business services and support team.
So in talking with another one of your team members, Molly, she often talks about the fact that you are focused, and you mentioned this a moment ago, on family-owned businesses and closely held businesses. Can you address that just a little bit?
Well, that's not all we do, but that certainly is it's a foundational piece for us.
Okay.
And the reason being is we're a consultative firm. And so we help our clients with planning and planning their financial futures. That involves helping their businesses thrive, but also helping them in their own personal finances and meandering through life.
Sure. And you do more than just accounting services. You offer classes. You speak on different topics.
Well, we do a lot of things in the marketplace to try to help people, and Molly has done a great job in our business development areas, along with one of my partners, Stephen Smith. They have coordinated a whole host of things that we do to touch people, and that includes things like you just mentioned, training opportunities, seminars, speaking engagements, all those kinds of things.
Great. So let's now talk a little bit about Brad. And how long have you been with Holbrook?
Well, it won't take long to talk about me, certainly.
I don't know. I'm nosy.
I have been with Holbrook and Manter since 1982. Before that, I was with Deloitte and Touche here in downtown Columbus.
Okay.
And before that, I worked for a private business as their accounting manager. So I've had some really good experiences, but the last 6 years has been with Holbrook and Manter.
Well, I think it certainly says something about their culture that you've been there that long.
Yes, and my partners, we have boy, if we added it up, I think we have, 150, 200 years of experience together.
My goodness.
And which has been special. Yeah.
Of course. I'm sure that makes for a great working environment. So is that what you wanted? Is this what you wanted to do with your life when you were a young boy?
Well, I grew up in a family business. I grew up on a farm. And so we did, we were all very engaged in farming. I have 4 siblings and we had just a lot of great experiences that way. I was actually an entrepreneur at a very young age as a teenager. I had my own, I bought pigs and had my own litters of pigs and that type of thing. So that's where I kind of cut my teeth as being an owner, entrepreneur.
And that's hard work, living on a farm, growing up on a farm.
It was hard work, but absolutely a rewarding work. And
do you think that instilled your work ethic?
It did. Plus, I had great tutelage. My parents were awesome. Gave me a lot of all the foundational pieces, life lessons, all those things. Strong faith and family is critically important. Yeah, I'm very blessed to have had that.
Yes, absolutely. And so what would be one piece of advice that somebody gave you personally or professionally along the way that helped shape who you are?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'm not sure there's any one thing. It's an accumulation of things that have made me really blessed. I've been surrounded by lots of just a great network and framework of people and family. My first boss, for instance, out of college was a fellow by the name of Carl Russell. And I couldn't have had a better mentor to begin with in my career. I came right in as an accounting manager, fresh out of college, had never managed people really. So to have somebody patient and kind like Carl was and allow me to make mistakes, but yet to be there to mentor and tutelage was one thing that stands out for me. Good.
And so what advice would you give to new associates now being a couple of years down the road from where you started?
That's an excellent question. And they need a mentor. Seek out a mentor to help them. Okay. Somebody that maybe it's been through some trials and tribulations. We know life is difficult and it's intense. And to find somebody that can really be a friend, but also be a very transparent mentor for them, I think would be an excellent thing. I hope they have that. If they don't, seek it. There are people out there willing to do it and are passionate about it.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Good. So tell me what keeps you up at night.
Well, I'm probably very fortunate. There's really nothing that keeps me up at night. Good. I'm a good sleeper.
That is fortunate.
We know in life, and especially in our work lives, there's going to be failures. There's going to be mistakes that we make. If I look back through my career, there's probably a handful of items that I wish hadn't happened. But, you just have to persevere through those things. And we know that what goes around comes around. Mm-hmm. One piece of advice I would give is for folks not to burn bridges. I think it's important not to damage relationships. Even though you might feel you're wronged or maybe somebody doesn't see eye to eye with you and you think they're wrong,
sure.
It's still, I think it's a very healthy thing to not burn those relationships and burn those bridges. I've tried to teach my 3 sons that. I think it's very important. It's amazing somebody that you may not see eye to eye with on an item and you might say, well, I'd just like to have them out of my lives. It's amazing to see that later on in life they need something. There's a way to help them. It's a great way to.
I think teaching your kids that's a tough one. When they're younger, they don't see beyond a certain point in their life, and so everything is very immediate. And when
Correct.
You tell them, you could have a relationship with these people in 20 years. That's right. A very hard point to drive home.
Right. My sons are now 30 to 36 years of age, and they're now seeing that.
Sure.
And they're seeing things circle back in their lives where they're actually able to help folks that, it could have went a different way if if they'd have approached it negatively. But there's a feel good about that.
Oh, absolutely. Great lesson. Hard to learn sometimes, but
Yes.
great lesson to continue
Yes.
plugging away at. Absolutely.
Michelle will be right back with her guest on Business Inspires right after this.
This is Kelly.
And this is Leslie, and we're the Dollar Saving Divas. We've recorded a few podcasts about dining and shopping in Grandview, and we're excited to tell you about Dig the Tour Weekend in Grandview, June 16th and 17th. 3 big events in one weekend.
Friday, June 16th, the Tour de Grandview Cycling Classic attracts an international field of several hundred professional cyclists to Central Ohio, as well as cycling enthusiasts and spectators from throughout the Midwest. The tour features world-class bicycle racing through the streets of Grandview, as well as events and activities for spectators and cyclists alike.
The TriVillage Chamber Partnership proudly presents Dig Fest on Saturday, June 17th, featuring the best in local craft beers, liquors, and wines with music and entertainment, all at the Grandview Yard.
And don't forget the St. Christopher Parish Festival, featuring live bands and fun for the entire family.
For more information on Dig the Tour weekend events and to book your accommodations, head to destinationgrandview.org.
And now back to Michelle and her guest on Business Inspires.
Okay, so getting back to Holbrook and Manter, great learning a little bit more about you, but getting back to Holbrook and Manter, first of all, congratulations to Holbrook and Manter being named the Business of the Year last month with the Union County Chamber.
Yeah, that's terrific.
That's a great accolade.
We are very proud of that. Yep,
Yeah.
It's a proud moment for our firm.
And you've been a part of that Marysville community for quite some time.
We have. 1980 is when we went down and purchased a practice of a retiring owner at that time.
Okay.
So we've been there a long time.
So when you've gone into other communities, it's often been because of existing businesses that you're helping out or taking on?
That has been primarily how
Okay.
you get started in a new area.
Okay.
Yes, is to take a retirement-minded owner and purchase their practice and then
Okay.
transition it.
Great. And how has technology affected the changes in your business or in your industry?
Well, it's really interesting. I think, wasn't it 30 years ago they said technology would make our lives so much easier?
They
and
did.
We'd have all this free time.
And it's great when it works, right?
It is. We have sensational technology, and we are using it to a high degree, and we're very efficient with it. I think what it does, it may replace human beings here and there. Mm-hmm. So we may have a little less employee base because of it, because we can do things faster.
Okay. Yeah.
However, what I've found with technology, you just take on more business. So there's still an intensity about using it. We in particular really enjoy it because I think we have some of the highest levels of LinkedIn connections.
Okay.
Our firm does. We're using Twitter. We're using Facebook. Mm-hmm. We're really involved with the social mediums that are out there, which has really helped our firm and getting the word out there about us. But inside the firm, in terms of using all the softwares that we use and everything that's available to us, we're very high users of those things. Yeah, we're virtually paperless.
Oh.
And that has its advantages as well.
Yeah, I bet. But what it can't replace is the relationships that you need to build and the trust factor that you certainly build upon as you keep these clients.
Correct. And that is so key to being a successful accounting firm. We have all types of people in our firm. They're all great. We have just a great workforce. We have some of our folks just would prefer to just kind of be in their offices and working with the technology and not necessarily interfacing with clients. And that's okay.
Right.
We need people like that. Personally, for me, I love working with people. To me, it's the fun about what we do. And that interaction, I would be lost without that. I like working solo at times, but interacting with people and helping them is where the real rush is in terms of achievement in our industry and our business. And we have a number. I think all of our partners are built that way, and certainly a management team and seniors and on down. We've got some terrific people that like working with others.
And that's great. I think that takes you from being a transactional business to a relationship-built business.
Yeah, it's well said.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So what would you say sets Holbrook and Manter apart from other firms in our area?
Well, there's some really good firms around, especially in the Columbus area. And we rub elbows with firms all across the United States. We're part of a group called Lineal, which is an association of firms, about 100 firms. A lot of these firms are bigger than us, so we learn a lot of things from them in terms of how they go about their business. But I think that what would set us apart is our learning that we've done through the years by being part of a group like a Lineal, and also the type of people that I think are attracted to us. We talk about and we try to be very culture-based in faith and family. We have, and we try to help people in terms of those things. And I believe that as a result of that, we're providing flexible hours and various things that will allow them to be there for their families and to allow us to be successful at what we do. We have folks that work at home at times, and
Great.
So we're providing a lot of flexibility that 20 years ago you wouldn't have seen in the marketplace. I'm not sure that's necessarily sets us apart, but I think we do a good job with that.
Well, I think it probably does set you apart in some instances, that you do have that flexibility for families and just, whatever life throws at you, that
Right.
they can rely on you as their employers and their partners to be supportive of that.
Right.
So how can people find you?
Well, they can find us in all those ways I mentioned.
Okay.
We're very active in social environments and certainly at Holbrook and Manter. Our website is www.holbrookmanter.com.
One word, Holbrook Manter.
Yes.
Okay.
And it will tell you a whole lot of things about us. You'll even see pictures of us there if you desire. And I say that in a kidding way, but yes, you can meet our team there.
Great. Good. Well, I know you have a great team, and you're always, Holbrook has always been a great partner of the Chamber and certainly a great partner to the TriVillage community. So we're thrilled to have you here. Thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to a continued partnership.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks for subscribing, downloading, and listening to Business Inspires, a monthly podcast of the TriVillage Chamber Partnership. Our innovative and active chamber is successful because of our smart and engaged members who cultivate our strong business community. With more than 60 years as an integral part of the Grandview, Upper Arlington, and Marble Cliff communities, the TriVillage Chamber Partnership is dedicated to a single purpose: the success of the business community. You can find a link to our website in the podcast notes to learn more about the TriVillage Chamber Partnership. For information about this podcast, to schedule a guest appearance, or to find out more about sponsoring this podcast, our contact information is in the podcast notes. Make sure you rate and review our podcast on iTunes. That helps us spread the word about Business Inspires.
Circle 270 Media Podcast Network.
Well, hi, this is Brett Johnson. I am a member of the Board of Trustees with Employment for Seniors, and with me is
Carol Ventresca. I'm the Executive Director of Employment for Seniors.
Well, this is our initial episode of the Successful Encore Career Podcast. And what we wanted to do is give potential new listeners an idea of what we're trying to get accomplished with the podcast series. For my part, we'll be interviewing adults who have had a successful transition from one career to another, hence the name the successful Encore career. What we want to spotlight are the difficulties in how one job goes into the other, or it could be from one job to being an entrepreneur. So as the podcast progresses through episodes, you'll hear different stories from different people that we have either helped through Employment for Seniors or that we know outside of Employment for Seniors that have successfully made that transition, and talk to them about the hurdles, the stumbling blocks, the support systems that they have around them as examples of how you, the listener, can benefit from those experiences and know that you're not alone in regards to that transition. We'll be mainly focusing on adults, primarily over 50, and that's who we serve with Employment for Seniors. Those transitions happen all the time, of course, at any stage of life, but it's a little bit different when you're over 50. And I'm going to let Carol explain a little bit about what Employment for Seniors does in Central Ohio and the pieces that we'll bring to you in the podcast about how our organization helps older adults.
Thanks, Brett. We are really excited to be part of this program. Employment for Seniors has been in Central Ohio for nearly 45 years, helping mature job seekers. And it is an issue, has been an issue for many, many years. And since our past recession, older, mature job seekers have had such great difficulty getting reemployed back into the workforce. We have lots of information that we like to provide our clients, and this podcast series is going to be a way for us to enhance that information for clients and for anyone who's out there listening and really needing help on transforming their work life into a new situation.
Most, if not all, the information that Carol will be bringing in, we're looking at an every other week publication or posting for these podcasts. So 1 week will be an interview, and in 2 weeks will be some frequently asked questions, some training techniques, something that Employment for Seniors does offer already. And for the most part, anything that's covered in the podcast will be available on the Employment for Seniors website.
Absolutely. And for those who are outside of Central Ohio, you may not have heard of Employment for Seniors in the past, but as I mentioned, we have been here in Columbus helping seniors, and our services are free. The only requirement is that they are 50 years of age living in Central Ohio, and we would love to have them come and register. But we have accumulated so much information. It is on our website, but we want to give some additional insights as to what's different in finding a job today than when we all began our careers 30, 40 years ago. We want to provide the listeners with those tips on how to be a great job seeker, how to be the best possible applicant they can be.
Some of the topics we're going to be covering, maybe highlight those.
We have lots of ideas that we would really like to talk about. Over and above everything else, the most important thing that you really need to pull together for a job search is a resume. We want to talk about powerful resumes that really pinpoint the skills, experience, and maturity that a job seeker 50 and over is going to bring to an employer. So we're going to talk about, what are the good things on a resume and what are the bad things? What are the mistakes we make when we're interviewing? We don't talk about our work story. Sometimes we talk about our life story, and that's not going to be the good information that's going to get across to the employer the value that you bring to them. Networking is huge in this job market. Many seniors have no clue what networking is all about. So we really want to talk and pinpoint, what is networking? How do you do it? Networking is not begging for a job. Networking is information gathering, and we want you to be really, really good about how you do networking. There are just lots of bits and pieces. How do you learn new skills? Where are there resources to update computer skills or to get an assessment? So there are great ideas that we have. I think we could probably keep you busy for a long time.
The podcast will be available on the Employment for Seniors website. It will be eventually available pretty much in every podcast player, your preferred one, via iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and I'll be dating ourselves just by saying those names because in a year's time there are other players that are out there. But we will make this available in as many places as possible. It will be a service of Employment for Seniors. If you have any ideas or any topics that you would like, especially Carol, to cover, definitely give us an email, and we will cover those in a future podcast. And thank you for the idea of that, as well as being a work of Employment for Seniors. We'll obviously ask for if you can donate as well. We have a donate button on the Employment for Seniors website. So any help that you can bring upon that is great because it goes right back into helping adults, helps bring this podcast to fruition, and keeping the cost down. Let's put it that way. Luckily, today we got to record this podcast in new spaces that we have for Employment for Seniors, and we're starting to build up some studio space. We're really looking forward to that as time goes on and bring you up to date as the podcast goes too.
Brett, let me also mention, too, that if anyone is interested in Employment for Seniors and hasn't been to our website, that the website is www.employseniors.org. They can reach me at info@employseniors.org, and I would be glad to answer questions, again, come up with new topics. We would love to be able to cover what you need to hear in terms of the difficulties that you're having in your job search. So, yes, please do share those ideas with us.
And all the contact information and specific details that come out in all the podcasts will be in what's called the metadata or in the show notes. So the email address that Carol just mentioned, it will be in the notes. It will be on the website. So it's not you have to be driving while you're driving, get a pen and paper out and such. We'll provide all the contacts and the direct links and such that are brought out in each podcast so you know, and you always know you can go to employseniors.org to see that information and hear it again, listen to it on your desktop, or as we encourage to listen to on your smartphone when the new episodes are up, and listen at your leisure.